two priests decided to go to Thailand on vacation. They were determined to make this a real vacation by not wearing anything that would identify them as priests. For once, they'd enjoy a vacation as regular people. As soon as the plane landed, they headed to a store and bought some really outrageous shorts, shirts, sandals, sunglasses, etc. The next morning, they went to the beach dressed in their tourist garb. They were sitting on the beach chairs, enjoying a drink, the sunshine, and the scenery, when a drop-dead gorgeous blonde in a bikini came walking straight towards them. They couldn't help but stare. As the blonde passed them, she smiled and said, "Good morning, father," and "Good morning, father," nodding and addressing each of them individually. Then she passed on by. They were both stunned. How in the world did she know they were priests? So the next day they went back to the store and bought even more outrageous outfits. These were so loud you could hear them before you even saw them. Once again, in their new attire, they settled down in their chairs to enjoy the sunshine. After a little while, the same gorgeous blonde, wearing a different colored bikini and taking her sweet time, came walking toward them. Again, she nodded at each of them, said, "Good morning, father," and "Good morning, father," and started to walk away. One of the priests couldn't stand it any longer and said, "Just a minute, young lady." "Yes, father?" "We are priests and proud of it, but I have to know, how in the world do you know we are priests, dressed as we are?" "Father, it's me," she replied. "Sister Agatha, 0. A classroom full of first-year veterinary students was participating in their first day of anatomy class. For the lecture, the professor begins by unveiling a dead cow under a white sheet laying on an operating table. The professor tells the class, "In veterinary medicine, there are 2 qualities you must possess as a doctor, the first of which is a strong stomach. You cannot, under any circumstance, be disgusted by anything involving an animal's body. For example," the professor pulls back the sheet and sticks his finger right up the dead cow's buttocks, then pulls out his finger and sticks it in his mouth. The students just stand there, paralyzed at what they see. "Now, go ahead and do the same thing, each of you," the professor says. Freaked out, the students take several minutes, but eventually take turns sticking their fingers up into the anal cavity of the dead cow and then sucking on them. Once everyone is finished, the professor continues on with his lesson. "Now, the second important quality you must possess is a keen observation. You see, I stuck in my middle finger up the cow's butt, and I sucked on my index finger. Now, learn to pay attention." The moral: life's tough, but it's even tougher when you're stupid. 1. A magician was working on a cruise ship in the Caribbean. The audience would be different each week, so the magician allowed himself to do the same tricks over and over again. There was only one problem. The captain's parrot saw the shows every week and began to understand what the magician did in every trick. Once he understood that, he started shouting in the middle of the show, "Look, it's not the same hat. Look, he's hiding the flowers under the table. Hey, why are all the cards the ace of spades?" The magician was furious, but couldn't do anything. It was the captain's parrot after all. One day, the ship had an accident and sank. The magician found himself on a piece of wood, in the middle of the ocean. And of course, the parrot was by his side. They stared at each other with hate, but did not utter a word. This went on for several days. After a week, the parrot finally said, "Okay, I give up. What did you do with the boat?" 2. A New York attorney representing a wealthy art collector called and asked to speak to his client. "Saul, I have some good news and I have some bad news." The art collector replied, "You know, I've had an awful day, Jack. So, let's hear the good news first." The lawyer said, "Well, I met with your wife today, and she informed me that she has invested only $5,000 in 2 very nice pictures that she thinks will bring somewhere between $15 and $20 million, and I think she could be right." Saul replied enthusiastically, "Holy cow, well done! My wife is a brilliant businesswoman, isn't she? You have just made my day. Now I know I can handle the bad news. What is it?" The lawyer replied, "The pictures are of you and your secretary." 3. This is a long one and a groaner, but it's worth it. There once was this town that was known for its flowers. There were 3 florists who would make the best flower arrangements people had ever seen, and the town received many awards for them. The 3 florists enjoyed the competition and didn't resent each other. One day, a friar moved into the town and started his own flower shop. He made cheap bouquets and undercut the other florists. They soon started losing customers and money. The 3 original florists got together and decided to hire an assassin to kill the friar. They found one named Hugh, and he agreed to kill the friar. Hugh killed him, and the 3 florists got their customers back and were happy. Which just goes to show that only Hugh can prevent florist friars. 4. A young man was inspired to help out with his church's fundraiser. He asked the preacher if he could participate. The preacher, knowing the young man had a bad stutter, only gave him 3 Bibles to sell. The following day, the young man returned, asking for more. The preacher gave him 5. The following day, the preacher gave him 10. By the end of the week, the young man broke the church's all-time record for the highest sale of Bibles. The preacher believed that divine intervention had occurred. He was dumbfounded and had to know the young man's secret. So the preacher asked the man how he was able to sell so many Bibles in such a short amount of time. The young man smiled and said, "I asked them if they wanted to buy a Bible or have me read it to them." 5. "Dad, my math teacher wants you to come in to speak with her," said Billy after coming home on Monday. "Why? What happened?" asked his father. "Well, she asked me to multiply 7 times 9. So I did and told her 63. Then she asked me to multiply 9 times 7. So I told her, what's the point if the answer's going to be the same? Well, yeah, what is the point if you already answered her question? Okay, I'll try to make it in after work if I can. Tuesday rolls around, and Billy goes to his dad and says, "Hey, Did, you go to my school today?" "No, not yet." "Can you visit my gym teacher too? He wants to speak with you as well." "What for?" "Today in gym, he told me to lift my right arm up, so I did. Then he told me to lift my left arm up, so I did that too. Then he told me to lift my right leg up, so I did that as well. When he told me to lift my left leg up, I asked him what I was supposed to be standing on if I did that. Well, yeah, how are you supposed to raise both your legs? Okay, I'll have a talk with him as well. Wednesday rolls around and Billy once more comes up to his dad. Hey Dad, don't bother coming to school. I was expelled. What? Why? So, this morning the principal calls me into his office. When I walk in, the math teacher, gym teacher, and the art teacher are all waiting there. What is the art teacher doing there? That's what I said. 6. A crusty old Marine Sergeant Major found himself at a gala event hosted by a local liberal arts college. There was no shortage of extremely young, idealistic ladies in attendance, one of whom approached the Sergeant Major for conversation. Excuse me, Sergeant Major, but you seem to be a very serious man. Is something bothering you? Negative, ma'am, just serious by nature. The young lady looked at his awards and decorations and said, It looks like you have seen a lot of action. Yes, ma'am, a lot of action. The young lady, tiring of trying to start up a conversation, said, You know, you should lighten up a little. Relax and enjoy yourself. The Sergeant Major just stared at her in a serious manner. Finally, the young lady said, You know, I hope you don't take this the wrong way, but when is the last time you got any? 1955, ma'am. Well, there you are. You really need to chill out and quit taking everything so seriously. I mean, no nookie since 1955. She took his hand and led him to a private room where she proceeded to relax him several times. Afterwards, panting for breath, she leaned against his bare chest and said, Wow, you sure didn't forget much since 1955. The Sergeant Major, glancing at his watch, said in his matter-of-fact voice, I hope not. It's only 21:30 now. 7. When two very elderly couples bump into each other in the street, Jack says, Hi there, George. How are you? George says, Great. We've just been to that new memory clinic. They teach you how to remember things using word association. It's really good. Jack asks, Really? What's the name of the clinic? George thinks for a moment and then says, Let me see. Eh? What do you call that flower with a thorny stem? Jack says a rose. Ah, yes, that's it. George turns to his wife. Rose, what's the name of that clinic? 8. An eagle who had just been divorced went out looking for new love one day. He was flying around, and on the ground he spotted a dove. He flew down, had a bit of ding-dong with the dove, then flew away. The little dove lay there and said, I am a little dove. I've had a bit of love, but I liked it. The eagle was still flying around, and on the ground he spotted a blue tit. He flew down, had a bit of ding-dong with the blue tit, then flew away. The little blue tit lay there and said, I am a little tit. I've had a little bit, but I liked it. The eagle was still flying around, and on the ground he spotted a duck. He flew down, had a bit of ding-dong with the duck, then flew away. The little duck laid there and said, I am a little drake, and you've made a big mistake. Get yourselves to church, you perverts. 9. A hunter kills and eats a bald eagle, and he is arrested for violating the Endangered Species Act. He pleads guilty, finally, and throws himself at the mercy of the court. Your Honor, the hunter said, I had no idea that it was illegal to kill and eat a bald eagle. If you let me go, I'll never do it again. You've committed a very serious crime, the judge replies. But you clearly weren't aware of the law, so I'm willing to overlook it this one time. However, before I let you go, I'm going to ask you to do one thing. Anything, Your Honor? The hunter replies. What is it? The judge says, it's been illegal to kill a protected species for many years, so very few people have ever eaten a bald eagle. For the record, can you please tell everyone what a bald eagle tastes like? The hunter thinks for a moment and then replies, it tastes pretty good, kind of like a cross between a spotted owl and a condor. 10. A man with a speech impediment goes on a dating website. This dating website has you make a short video for your profile to introduce yourself. So the man makes his video and says, "Hi, my name's Daniel and I'm deaf." The man successfully scores a date with a woman who happens to know sign language. That night, he shows up to the date, and to his surprise, she yells, "Why are you carrying a friggin' scythe?" The man replies, "I told you I'm deaf." 11. An engineer is having his lunch. It is a beautiful day, so he takes his brown bag lunch outside to the fountain beside the office. He sits on the edge and is about to tuck into his sandwich when a frog hops out of the fountain and says to him, "Hello, thank goodness you're here. I am a beautiful princess who has been cursed by a witch. Only a kiss will turn me back to my human form. Please kiss me and let me return to my people." The engineer blinks, smiles, picks up the frog and tucks it into his shirt's front pocket. Having finished lunch, he begins a walk around the campus in the sunshine. The frog furrows its brow. Maybe you didn't hear me. I am a princess. Please kiss me and make me human again. I am sure my people will pay handsomely for my return. The engineer pats the frog on top of its head and begins to whistle. The frog panics. "Please, I beg you, I cannot be a frog any longer. Kiss me and I will marry you. You will be royalty and will want for nothing the rest of your days." "Look, Froggy." The engineer finally says, "I'm an engineer. I wouldn't know what to do with a girlfriend. But a talking frog? Now, that's really cool." 12. Pinocchio, Snow White, and Superman are out for a little stroll in town one afternoon, enjoying the sunshine. As they walked, they came across a sign. "Beauty contest for the most beautiful woman in the world." "I am entering," said Snow White. After half an hour, she comes out and they ask her, "Well, how'd you go?" "I won first place," said Snow White. They continue walking and they see another sign. "Contest for the strongest man in the world." "I'm entering," says Superman. After half an hour, he returns and they ask him, "How did you make out?" "I won first place too," answers Superman. "Did you ever have a doubt?" They continue walking when they see a third sign. "Contest. Who is the greatest liar in the world?" Pinocchio quickly enters the contest. After half an hour, he returns with tears in his eyes. "What happened?" they asked. "Who the is Donald Trump?" asked Pinocchio. 13. A man is sitting on his porch, enjoying the morning. when a young boy walks by, dragging some chicken wire. "Hold on a minute, boy. What you doing with that chicken wire?" "Gonna go catch me some chickens, bye," says the boy. "Well, that's not the way that works, but you go have fun," he replies. A few hours later, he sees the boy return, and sure as sunshine, he's dragging along a bunch of chickens. The next morning, he sees the young boy again, this time dragging some duct tape. "Hold on a minute, boy. What you doing with that duct tape?" "Gonna go catch me some ducks," says the boy. "Well, that's definitely not the way that works. But you go have fun," he replies. A few hours later, he sees the boy return, and sure as sunshine, he's dragging along some ducks. The man is stunned. The next morning, he sees the young boy again, this time dragging some branches from the willow tree. "Hold on a minute, boy. I'll go with you this time.